This video is for you to help alleviate your potentially maddening frustration and wondering why. If you have tried so many things to heal your cancer and it just doesn't seem to be enough, it doesn't seem to be working and you don't know why, because these are things that have worked for other people. These are things that have worked for lots of other people and perhaps worked quite well. Why isn't it working for you? So I see this a lot. By the way, for those of you that don't know, hello, my name is Dr. Lisa Matejka. I'm a naturopathic physician, energy worker, and transformational life coach, and I specifically work with those who are navigating their cancer journey, and I help guide them back to health, wholeness, and wellness to an even better state than before, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, stacking the odds in their favor with healing, with my compassionate guidance and loving support, awakening the healing powers within. So I do have some experience in this manner, and I do see this, and these are a lot of times people that don't know why they got cancer in the first place. So if this is you, you may be surprised that you even got cancer. It's so unfair. You have been actually really putting in the effort for a large part of your life to be healthy, to make the sacrifices with what you eat and to put in the hours at the gym, and you are healthy. It just was such a shock. And maybe even now you've tried so many things and you're in the process of doing so many things. Maybe you are doing IVC, IV therapy, maybe you've done hyperbaric oxygen, the ozone therapy, magnetic therapy, maybe you've done all sorts of cleanses, coffee enemas, Gerson therapy diet, supplements, Rick Simpson oil, all these things that you found on the internet that you read about. And I'm not saying anything bad about those things. Those are mostly all really great things to do for sure. And, maybe you've also done conventional treatment and it just didn't seem to do anything, or it made you worse. Maybe you just knew you weren't going to go the route of conventional treatment. So you really put all your efforts into doing all these other things that have really helped other people. Maybe you've even gone to some of those centers, those holistic centers that are, not cheap. And you've stayed there, taking a break from it all and doing everything that was there, everything they said to do. Maybe you had these novel treatments. Maybe you flew around the world just to seek some of these out. What's the deal? Well, I have some good news for you. I really do believe I have the answer. And here's one thing you may not have considered. So you're doing all these things for your physical health. Essentially, all the things I mentioned, they're targeting the cancer, or they're making your body overall way more healthy and clean, and just an environment where disease won't be able to live, in theory. But did you remember the psychological component, the emotional component, the mental component? You could even say the energetic and or spiritual component. That is just as, if not more, and actually it's more important. And hopefully you don't need me to convince you on this too much. I think deep down, you may already know this to be true. What have you not dealt with yet? What traumas have you gone through? Maybe you think you handled them really well, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you repressed those feelings, repressed those memories. Maybe something happened that wasn't necessarily what one would classify as a trauma, but it was something that wired in some limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs have not served you well throughout your life and have kept you in some destructive patterns or some stuck patterns. Those are a little harder to spot. Maybe events occurred as they occur in all people's life, but maybe some events occurred that you didn't process very well. Maybe you haven't forgiven someone for something terrible they did to you or someone you love. Maybe you didn't forgive yourself for something you have done. Maybe you're just the type of person that is like a giver and you always sacrifice yourself and you always take care of others and you always put others first and you haven't really taken care of yourself. Maybe you're just not in alignment with who you are and where your life is supposed to go and who you're meant to be and what you're supposed to do. Maybe you have some grief that is not totally processed. Maybe it's anger. Maybe you just, I shouldn't say just, because this is a big thing. Maybe you don't truly love and accept yourself. These are just some, it could be anything, but these are just some of the more common ones that I see being the true root to cancer. Now, it is an undisputed fact at this point, thousands and thousands of studies, that psychological factors affect our health. Why would they not affect cancer? If you've tried all sorts of wonderful things for your body, you've changed your body's pH, you've changed your body's oxygenation, you've detoxed, you've cleansed, you're feeding it such clean things, there's no sugar coming in, no, take care of the inflammation, you've done all sorts of stuff and it hasn't touched the cancer. You really might want to consider this. There's entire disciplines and scientific fields that deal with how the mind affects the body, you could say. Mind-body medicine. There's psychoneuroimmunology, the relationship between psychological factors, our nervous system, and our immune system. There's even a newer field called mitochondrial psychobiology, which is the mind-body connection between like our feelings, thoughts, and how it affects our mitochondria, which have to do with cancer as well. I mean, there's no denying, even the most conventional of scientists, there's no denying that psychological factors affect our physical health. I'm not even going to bother convincing you because it is known. It is known. And I think you know this deep inside, that there is just something that you might need to address. And it's so worth doing, because not only can this lead to your healing from cancer, but it can lead to your healing, freedom, and liberation from whatever it was that held you back. You can be a more empowered, authentic, bold version of yourself, higher vibration, all of those things, all of the wonderful things. It's like a weight off your shoulders. It's like now you can step into more of who you are, owning your voice, walking your truth, perhaps living your purpose. Dealing with some of those psychological factors is going to be rewarding on so many levels. Okay, so the question is, okay, yeah, but how? Well, that might be something you have to figure out. I hope this video gives you the awareness, and sometimes the awareness is all that is needed because it takes the power away and dissipates those energetic imprints. But oftentimes, especially when it comes to cancer, it's going to take a little bit more than the awareness itself. So there are many things that you can do depending on what resonates to you, what's your flavor, the depth of guidance you need. Sometimes people are capable of working through these things on their own, whether through things like journaling, meditating, reflecting, doing their own sort of processing, whatever that may be. It could be screaming, and this actually did come from some research. It could be screaming into a pillow. It could be music or art therapy. But oftentimes we do need help from others. And you could go the traditional route, therapy, psychiatrist, psychologist, but oftentimes that's not necessary. And oftentimes that can take a while. But maybe that's your route. Maybe that's your route. And maybe that would be a great choice for you. Some people find faster and better results with coaches. They're not as limited with what they can do. Of course, you got to find one that resonates with you. There's an easy place to look is these videos, whether it's Rumble, YouTube, or whatever. There's all kinds of people sharing their light and sharing their message. And if you find someone that resonates with you, that is doing, videos on such things of whatever the topic is that might be the root of your trauma, personal development, spiritual development. Most of those people are also doing coaching. So you can find someone that resonates. And I'm sure they probably have services, courses, coaching. And if you know what your specific trauma is, there's so many coaches these days. Did you know $49 billion was spent on personal growth last year? So there's no shame in getting a coach. And it's such a growing thing for a reason, because people are getting results, because there are lots of us out there that have a true passion and heart to help people. And for example, if you say you have abandonment issues, you can literally find an abandonment issue coach. They're very specific these days, very specific. Personally, if you would like to go with me, I have a course that is specifically geared for cancer patients, those struggling with cancer. And this is not a plug, so I'm not really going to give a lot of info about that here. If you're interested, you can look in the description box and apply. But it might be more your thing to seek out like a shaman, or even just like a local energetic healer or a spiritual healer. There's all kinds of people that can help. Or maybe you just don't know what your issue is. Of course, I recommend things like meditating, journaling to figure that out. Or you could go to some sort of, astrologer or psychic, be sure it's a good one. These people can help you figure those things out. I mean, there's any number of things where you can learn about yourself that are quite accurate. Hand analysis, I actually recommend that one. Hand analysis, numerology, Vedic astrology, there's so much. And I'm into that kind of stuff. Maybe that's not your thing, and maybe you just need to go the traditional route. But I think you probably have an idea of what your thing could be. So, and sometimes even just talking with others can help, but you got to be careful who you're talking to. Not everybody is understanding or supportive. So yeah, I think that's all that really needs to be said. If you have been, whether you've done conventional or not, whether you've tried, naturopathic treatment after naturopathic treatment after integrative treatment, this and that person and that healer and that naturopath and that holistic doctor, that center and here and there, and also acupuncture and this and that. This is a sign. That is a sign. This right here is your sign. If that's you, if you've tried all sorts of things that have helped a lot of other people and haven't helped you, then please consider psychological factors, emotional health, mental health, that sort of thing. Things in our energy field, if you are into that or not. Yes. So, with that being said, please do whatever it is that resonates with you. Follow your intuition, follow your heart, and I wish you nothing but the best on your journey, and you can heal yourself. So much, so much, so much love. Bye-bye.